Welcome back. I'm Diane Macedo. We have breaking news. The grand jury investigating former President Trump's role in the hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels is not convening today. They were scheduled to meet to weigh potential charges against the former president, but sources tell ABC News that won't happen now until at least tomorrow. Senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky joins me live from the courthouse in Manhattan, along with attorney Jeffrey Robbins, with more on this. Aaron, what's the latest?
The grand jury is not meeting today. We don't know whether it was a pre-scheduled thing or whether they were called off because maybe a witness wasn't available. There's no telling why. But it means that any potential indictment of former President Trump will now come Thursday at the earliest. But it's also possible, again, Diane, that there are additional witnesses the grand jury wants to hear from. Remember, it was former President Trump himself on social media on Saturday morning who sort of got everybody excited about his impending arrest that he said would come Tuesday. And that did not materialize. And now we know that the grand jury has been meeting, well, since January, hearing from more than a half dozen witnesses over the course of the last several months about hush money paid to Stormy Daniels and whether that's a predicate for a potential criminal charge, which now the earliest it could come in the form of a true bill would be tomorrow.
Jeff, how unusual is it for a grand jury to cancel a meeting like this? Is there anything to read into this?
Well, hey, Diane, there could be so many different explanations for this, as Aaron suggested. It could be the schedule of some of the grand jurors. It could be the decision to respond in some way to the testimony earlier this week of Team Trump lawyer, Mr. Costello. It could be coordinating security arrangements with the court or with New York City, or even arrangements with the Trump team. So there's no way of telling. It could also be, as long as we're speculating, that the DA is still kind of thinking about additional hooks for this kind of misdemeanor felony combination. We simply don't know, but it looks as though they're moving forward in any event.
Now, Aaron, Trump predicted, as you mentioned, that he would be arrested yesterday. He said it was going to happen, and he called on his supporters to protest when it did. Of course, that didn't happen. But what's the scene like there now?
Well, there is some extra metal barricades that are up. I think that's to account for all the members of the press that have descended on the courthouse here in Lower Manhattan. There's no sign of any protest. There's the odd sign holder that walks up and down the block, but there's no real scene here. And now with the grand jury out of session, there's no possibility that an indictment could be returned today.
Jeff, the next time the grand jury could convene would be as early as tomorrow. What are you watching for?
Well, theoretically, at least, if they do vote on an indictment, it will be secret for the moment. But as we've seen before, there has been a practice here, particularly on the part of Team Trump, of releasing or leaking information that they get. So my guess is that we're going to know one way or the other what comes out of tomorrow's session. And if we do learn about it, it's likely that it'll come, if passed as prologue, from Mr. Trump himself.
Aaron, this is just one of several investigations into former President Trump. If he is indicted in this case, could that affect the other cases at all?
Not really. They're all running separately, and the prosecutors that we know of are not talking with one another. The prosecutor in Fulton County in Georgia over election result tinkering, the special counsel investigating both January 6th and the handling by Trump of classified materials. Those are all running on separate tracks. Of course, if he is ultimately charged in all of these investigations, there may be some competition for jurisdiction and his time. But other than that, these are all running separately, and that we know of, there is no coordination among the prosecutors.
Jeff, depending on the outcome here, where does this case go from here?
Well, you would expect, if there is an indictment, that within a matter of days, the former president will be required to surrender. And at that time, upon arraignment, there'll be a schedule set for the case to proceed. And there'll be discussions between counsel for Team Trump and the DA's office about the kind of schedule for moving forward, including a motion practice. That is to say, there'll be motions no doubt filed by Team Trump to try to dismiss the charges. There'll be a schedule set by the court for the resolution of this particular case.
All right. Aaron,
have I spoken on the LA school union strike? Yes, I have. Every single day, as a matter of fact. I also donated to the strike funds today. And maybe even we'll see what happens. I'm making no promises. I wanted to go to one of the picket lines as well, but logistics of that are a little bit harder to do. Just say nothing is going to happen. The media is going to edge libs so hard they either die of blue balls when he doesn't get charged or die of dehydration from throwing the fattest ropes if he does. Honestly, I don't even think the libs care all that much. That is what I feel. Like, I feel like this is not, like, nobody on TikTok is talking about this. People just, like, make memes on Twitter about how, like, he is definitely arrested with, like, AI photos and shit. No, I don't care about Jon Stewart on Crossfire. We've watched it so many times. Please stop linking Jon Stewart on Crossfire where he owns Tucker Carlson, okay? I know. I watched it before. I've watched it so many times on this broadcast. I don't want to rewatch it. Dugglesby, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. I don't even see a lot of like anger and resentment from conservatives. I mean, there is some, but certainly not what you would expect. Like, it's the anger, resentment, the activity surrounding this story is diminished in comparison to how much agitation occurred around the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago. Kind of wild. And I think it's partially because Trump fell off. I think it's partially because, we've gone through this wave so many times over. And I think it's partially because there's not a lot of astroturfed activism from the Republican Party infrastructure. The Republican Party is not lending support to the protect Trump and defend Trump's innocence funds and projects, I guess. Like, you only see like the craziest kooks at these protests, and their numbers are diminished. Like, it's like the silence is deafening moment, I think, with respect to the protests.